It is the year 9000 BC. Humanity still leads a nomadic existence. There are no cities, there are no kings, there is no writing, only small groups of people. Move with the seasons, hunting and gathering to survive. Then, something changes in the Jordan Valley. People stop migrating, they build a wall, they settled there. This is Jericho. It is the oldest, continuously inhabited city in the world. It has been continuously inhabited for 11,000 years before the pyramids were built. Even before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before Rome, Athens and Babylon existed. People were already living here. This is its story. Let's begin. (9,000 BC), Jordan Valley. A group of people settle near a water source. They plant crops. They build shelters. They do not leave their place. This had never happened before. Within a few generations, they build something even more remarkable: a wall. Not to keep animals out, not to mark a boundary. 3.6 meters high and 1.8 meters thick, with a tower. 8.5 meters high. It still stands today. No one knows exactly why they built it. Some say it was to protect themselves from floods. Some say it was for defense. But what we do know is this: the people who built it had never seen a city before. They invented a city. Around 7000 BC, perhaps 2,000 people lived in Jericho. It was the largest settlement in the world. They grew wheat and barley. They raised goats. They traded obsidian from Anatolia, seashells from the Mediterranean, and salt from the Dead Sea. And they did something strange with their dead. They buried their ancestors beneath the floors of their homes. Then they removed the skulls. They covered them in plaster, painted their eyes with shells, and kept them. To look at, to talk to remember. In 1953, 7 plaster-covered skulls were found here. Today they are on display in museums, the faces of the first inhabitants of Jericho, looking back at us from 9,000 years ago. By 3,500 BC, Jericho had changed. The Neolithic village had disappeared. The Bronze Age had begun. Jericho is now a walled city, a real city. Trade routes crossing the Jordan Valley passed through here. Caravans from Egypt, merchants from Mesopotamia. The city grew rich. Then came destruction. Around 1,550 BC, the Egyptian pharaohs drove the Hyksos out of Egypt and conquered Canaan. Jericho was burned. It was abandoned. It lay in ruins for over a century. When people returned, they rebuilt it. Same land, same resources, new walls. And then Joshua came. Around 1,400 BC, though scholars debate the exact date, an Israelite army reached the Jordan River. Their leader was Joshua. Their God had promised them this land, and the obstacle before them, the walls of Jericho. The Bible tells this story plainly. The army marched around the city for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priests blew their trumpets, the people shouted, and the walls came tumbling down. Everyone who went to Sunday school knows this story. However, in 1930, an English archaeologist named John Garstang excavated the site. He found the ruined walls. He found burnt grain. He said, "This is it. This is Joshua's Jericho." Then, in the 1950s, another archaeologist, Kathleen Kenyon, dug deeper, and she found something no one expected. Kathleen Kenyon dug deeper. What she found changed everything. The walls that Garstang had identified as Joshua's walls were 900 years older. They had been destroyed in 1550 BC, not 1400 BC. Joshua's Jericho was not there. However, Kenyon also found layers of destruction dating to around 1400 BC. She also found that the walls from that period had not collapsed inwards, they had collapsed outwards, as if pushed from below. Seismic activity, an earthquake. The ground beneath Jericho lies on the Jordan Rift Valley, one of the most seismically active fault lines on Earth. In its recorded history, Jericho has been destroyed by earthquakes at least 8 times. Joshua was there. The walls came down, but not because of the trumpets, or perhaps it was both. The city was already weakened, an army that was already waiting. The ground shook. Joshua marched in. Jericho was burned. The granaries, which were still full, were left untouched, just as it says in the Bible. History and scripture approach the same moment from different angles. After Joshua, the city was rebuilt. It was destroyed again, rebuilt again. That is what Jericho does. In 900 BC, a new city was built on the mound. Then, in 600 BC, the Babylonian armies swept through Canaan. Jericho fell again. Then came the Persians. Then came Alexander. As each empire passed through, it left its mark on the layers of the tell. Then came Herod the Great. In 37 BC, the Roman-appointed king of Judea chose Jericho as his winter palace. He understood what the ancients knew. While Jerusalem froze in winter, the Jordan Valley enjoyed mild temperatures. The spring still flowed. The palms still grew. Herod built on a scale that even shocked the Romans. He built a palace complex stretching across both banks of the Wadi Kelt. There were swimming pools in the desert, frescoed walls, Roman baths, sunken gardens. It was in this palace that Herod lay dying in the winter of 4 BC. Paranoid until the end, he ordered the arrest of Jericho's leading citizens. They were to be executed upon his death, ensuring that people would mourn him whether they wanted to or not. However, his sister refused this order. The prisoners were released. Herod died without being mourned, and Jericho went on living. A generation later, a preacher from Galilee passed through Jericho on his way to Jerusalem. His name was Jesus. He stopped under a sycamore tree. Looking up, he saw a tax collector named Zacchaeus who had climbed the tree to catch a glimpse of him. Jesus said, "Come down. I will stay at your house tonight." That tree still stands in Jericho today, or so it is said. In 400 AD, Jericho was a Byzantine city. Churches were built over the ancient ruins. These covered the layers beneath the mosaic floors. Thousands of pilgrims came to see the Mount of Temptation, where Jesus fasted for 40 days, to be baptized in the River Jordan, to touch the world's oldest soil. Then, in 636 AD, Arab Muslim armies emerged from the desert. Byzantine rule ended almost without a fight. Jericho passed peacefully into the new Islamic world. Pilgrims continued to come. The spring continued to flow. The city continued to thrive. Jericho has been destroyed and rebuilt at least 20 times. Each passing empire left its mark on the land. The Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, the Arabs. Each of these civilizations thought they were the last. None of them were. This makes you wonder, what is it about this place? Is it the water source? Or the location? Or is it the climate? Or is there something else about Jericho itself that prevents it from perishing? Before we continue, I want to ask you something. We've seen Jericho survive earthquakes, fires, and empires. But the most controversial question about this city isn't about its history. It's about what history means. Were Jericho's walls really destroyed? Write your answer below. Subscribe to find out what comes next. Is something most people have never heard of. The Crusaders arrived in 1099. En route to Jerusalem, they conquered the Jordan Valley. Jericho surrendered without a fight. There was nothing left to fight for. The city was almost deserted, with just a small village around the spring and a few farmers and pilgrims. The Crusaders had no interest in Jericho. They wanted Jerusalem. However, they recognized an ancient truth. Whoever controls the Jordan Valley controls the road to the holy city. They built a tower here. They taxed the caravans. Then they moved on. When Saladin recaptured Jerusalem in 1187, Jericho returned to Muslim rule without ceremony. This was a stopping place, a place to stop along the road. The spring still flowed, the palms still grew. Life went on as usual. Over the next 3 centuries, Jericho declined. The Ayyubids, the Mamluks, rulers came and went from Cairo and Damascus. No one invested. No one cared. By the year 1300, Jericho had become little more than a village. The great mound rising from the valley floor was just a hill covered in grazing sheep. Farmers planted crops in the fields below. The springs still provided water, but the city, once the largest settlement in the world, had been forgotten. Then the Ottomans arrived. In 1517, Sultan Selim I conquered Canaan. Jericho quietly passed into Ottoman hands. Under Ottoman rule, Jericho became a small farming village. Sugarcane was cultivated in the valley. Pilgrims still came to Jordan, Mount Sesbet, and the ancient sites. The Ottomans collected taxes from them. Life was slow, quiet, unchanged. For 400 years. Then, suddenly, everything changed. On 9 December 1917, British General Edmund Allenby entered Jerusalem. The Ottoman Empire came to an end. Suddenly, Jericho, old, forgotten, pastoral Jericho, found itself at the center of a conflict that would define the 20th century. 2 peoples, 1 land, 1 river, 1 source. The British Mandate began. Jewish immigration increased. Meanwhile, Arab nationalism was rising. Tensions were mounting. In every city, village, and valley in Palestine, including here. In 1948, Israel declared independence. The Arab-Israeli War began. When the fighting ended, Jericho fell to Jordan. Something happened here that changed the city forever. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinian refugees fled the fighting. Many came here, to the Jordan Valley, to the banks of the world's oldest river. The refugee camps that were set up in 1948 are still here today. 3 generations later, families are still living and waiting in these camps. In 1967, Israel captured the West Bank during the 6-Day War. Jericho fell within hours. The Israeli army arrived. Jordanian forces withdrew. The city changed hands, perhaps for the 20th time in its history. Then, something unexpected happened. In 1993, the Oslo Accords were signed. Jericho was chosen as the first city to be transferred to the control of the Palestinian Authority. Not Jerusalem, not Ramallah, not Gaza. Jericho. This ancient city became the first of the hoped-for Palestinian state cities. In 1994, Yasser Arafat flew in from Tunisia. He landed at the small airport in Jericho and wept. The peace did not last long, however. The Second Intifada began in 2000. Jericho was besieged once more. Israeli tanks surrounded the city. But Jericho survived, as it always has. Jericho is a city with a population of 25,000 today. It is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. Located in the Jordan Valley, it is the lowest city in the world, sitting 258 meters below sea level. The spring still flows. It is the same spring that drew the first settlers here 11,000 years ago. Banana plantations now stretch across the valley floor. Date palms tower above them. While Jerusalem shivers, the winter sun is warm here. Tourists arrive. They visit Tel Es Sultan. They see the Neolithic Tower, which is the oldest still-standing tower ever found. They take photos. Then they move on. Most are unaware of the layers of history beneath their feet, layer upon layer. Neolithic farmers, Bronze Age merchants, Joshua's soldiers, Herod's servants, Byzantine pilgrims, Arab merchants, Crusader knights, Ottoman farmers, British soldiers, Palestinian refugees. They all walked the same ground. They drank from the same source. They all looked at the same sky. This is Jericho's secret. Not the walls, not the trumpets, not the earthquakes. The secret lies in the land itself. Every civilization that has lived here has thought that it has built something lasting. None of them did. And yet the city has remained standing, not because of any empire, not because of any army, not because of any god. It was because of water. A spring, flowing for 11,000 years. It has given life to anyone brave or desperate enough to stay here. And now, the answer you've been waiting for. In 1952, Kathleen Kenyon discovered that the walls identified by Garstang as those of Joshua's were not from 1400 BC, but from 1550 BC. When Joshua arrived, there were no mud brick walls in Jericho. The city was small. It probably had no walls. It was probably abandoned. However, Kenyon discovered something else. Layers of destruction. Dating back to around 1400 BC, there were signs of burning. There were also signs of sudden collapse. The Jordan Rift Valley had also experienced significant seismic activity during that period. The earth shook. An army waiting in the wings moved in. A city that had been there burned. Joshua was there. The destruction was real. Was it a miracle or an earthquake? Perhaps the most honest answer is that after 11,000 years of history, these two things could be one and the same at Jericho. 11,000 years. Every empire that came here thought they would be the last. The Babylonians thought so. The Romans thought so, too. The Crusaders thought so, too. The Ottomans thought so, too. But none of them were. Because Jericho is not about empires. It has never been about empires. It's about a source, a single source, and it's still flowing. Right now, today. As you watch this, someone in Jericho is drinking the same water that the first settlers drank 11,000 years ago. Think about that. Every war fought here, every wall built and destroyed, every army that has passed through, every refugee with nothing. They all survived because of that one source. The lesson Jericho teaches us isn't about religion. It's not about politics. It's not about which army won. It's simpler than that. Find the water, build something, rebuild it when it's destroyed. Jericho has been doing this for 11,000 years, and it's still doing so today. Before you go, I just have one more thing to ask you. Today, we covered 11,000 years, but there's a story we haven't told yet. Plastered skulls. Around 7000 BC, the people of Jericho removed the skulls of their ancestors. They covered them in plaster. They drew eyes on them with shells. Then they kept them in their homes. To look at them, to talk to them. What were they saying? What did they want from the dead? The full story of the world's first ancestor cult and what it tells us about the first people to build cities is currently available to channel members only. If you want to delve deeper and hear the stories that don't make it into the main video, press the join button below. Each month, members receive a special video about an obscure aspect of a city we explore. This month, the Dead of Jericho. Now, one final question for you. Jericho has been destroyed and rebuilt at least 20 times. Which civilization do you think has left the most significant mark on this city? Write your answer below. I read every comment. If you find this 11,000-year journey interesting, please like this post. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And, as always, I'll see you in the past.